Hey, how you doing? I'm Fernando Lopez, and I'm going to be going over sectarianism in Pakistan. I had a friend in high school who turned out to be my roommate in later on in life. He was born in Pakistan. He always told me about his hatred for India and his family's hatred for India and Hindus. And he failed to mention all the sectarianism and infighting that was happening inside his own country. He always focused on India and how much he hated them. And you probably didn't go over it because it's so complicated, but I'm gonna try to go over it here. Um, Basically, I want to start out by talking about what sectarianism is, and that's the hatred of inferior subdivision of a group. So we have a group like we'll take for example Christianity, and we have Catholics and Protestants and different sects like that, and sometimes ideological views spur violence or hatred towards one subsect to another. In the case of Pakistan, we're talking about Sunnis and Shiites and a couple other smaller groups like the Ahmadi and the Christians there and the Hindus. But mostly we're talking about Sunnis and Shiites. Um, the big problem with sectarianism within Pakistan is it causes a divide that hurts the everyday life there. It's seen everywhere. Sunnis are just in control. They control how the way of life is in the country, and everybody else just has to follow along. They don't have a say if they want to live there. It sparked terrorism, political instability, law and orders all over the place there, just because of these views on religion, and it's hurting them from the inside out. So I think it really distracts from their international goals. There's still quite a bit of international policy they want to apply towards India and Kashmir, and protecting that land, that they can't really focus on if they're having these issues at home with their sectarianism. If they really want to get to the problem they're having with India, or even Afghanistan or any of the other international problems we're having, they're gonna have to figure out this functioning society they have right now. And it all starts with the individual. Yeah, you have Sunnis putting down Shiites in the everyday life, not letting them buy in a market or something like that. That's small picture stuff, but it shows you how people are treated in that country. And it all started from one guy. I'm gonna butcher his name here. It's Zia ul Haq, and basically he had a coup in the 80s. He was a military guy. He forced his way in there, and he implemented this Sunni majority. He forced everybody else to just get on the same page, and he just neglected national institutions. He pretty much let Sunnis take over business, pretty much all aspects of life, and that really started putting up the walls, for the divide in the sectarianism. That's really started sectioning off people. They really went after Ahmadis at first. Just Sunnis were in tons of bloody battles, the likes of which they had with India when they got their independence from Britain. India and Pakistan had quite a bit of fighting, bloody battles, and you saw it again with Sunnis going after Ahmadis. But then in 1974, when they decided to declare them non-Muslims, just completely, they're not even in the same league. They're lesser people. That fighting stopped, and so Sunnis kind of turned their attention solely on the Shiites in Pakistan, and that didn't help. Of course, it caused fighting in Kashi, in South Punjab, you name it. Everywhere there's riots, sectarian riots, fighting, and this guy just let it all happen. Now moving on to today, you see the same exact things. Now the Ahmadis are, you know, very much neglected. Small majority, just like the Christians there and the Hindus there, they're just cast aside. And those that divide between the Sunnis and Shiites are still there. And we're seeing an unprecedented level of persecution in the country. And it's hurting their direction as as a whole, where they want to take their future. I'll give you some examples of some violence that's been happening in recent memory. Since 2000, there's been over 2,000. Since 2000, there's been over 2,000 community members, including women and children, who have been targeted by Sunnis, and those people, of course, are Shiites, and these people, the people who are doing the majority of the attacks, in this case in particular, are Al Qaeda and Taliban, so militarized groups. So now we have sectarianism not just being discrimination and bigotry. Now it's turning into a militarized thing. It's turning into violence. Okay, so then we got in 2009, 40 Shias were killed in a suicide bombing in Kashi. That's just, you see that kind of stuff all the time over there. In 2010, another attack in Kashi by a subsect of a militant group. We're killing just bystanders and intellectuals. Again, going after institutions. And without the institutions, you can't move forward as a country. And in 2013, this is probably one in recent, in a lot of people's recent memory, of a bomb blast in Kashi, where 45 people were killed and 150 others wounded. That's is a big one. So we see these groups, these militant groups, all over the place. The Taliban's a big one, operating in the west of Pakistan and spilling over into Afghanistan and harming our country in particular with what our efforts in Afghanistan. They all are coming from Pakistan and supplementing the numbers in Afghanistan. You got Shia militant groups. You got just a whole bunch of different parties who, rely on their ideological views to give themselves the okay to go ahead and arm themselves and cause violence. So if Pakistan really wants to develop as a country, move forward, take care of what they see as their Indian problem, their reclaiming of Kashmir and all that, they really need to focus on a secular way of life. They have to figure out a way to kind of separate the Muslim in them and the governing aspect of themselves, and ask what's more important, being a holistic country with one set goal together, but having to be secular, or continue this sectarianism and infighting and get nowhere in international policy or their goals, their objectives internationally. It's a lot to go over in a short amount of time. I see their future as kind of bleak, to be honest. Even though the international community's views are in West Middle East, they still have a tremendous problem here in the East Middle East. And again, I can't hope for them enough to get a secular way of life and move on with their international goals. Thanks so much.